Welcome to Software Pulse, building Java desktop applications, and I'm John McNeil. In today's video, we're going to take a look at building the user interface for our Breakout4Java game using Scene Builder. To give us an idea of what we're trying to do, this is what we're trying to build. We're going to build something that looks like this from our Java Eclipse, but launching Scene Builder to put this all together. So let's take a look at how we're going to go about this. If we switch to our Eclipse IDE, I've got a project here called Breakout4J_A, which is going to be my project I'm going to use for this example. So in order to use Scene Builder, what we need to do is we need to create a file within our project of type fxml, and we do this by, I'm going to right click on my view package, and then I'm going to say new other, and under the Java FX options I'm going to pick the new fxml document, press next, and then we've got to give it a name. So I'm going to give it call it board, and then a root element, and if you drop it down you can see there's various types of layout you can pick. I'm going to go with the board, stick with the border pane, and press finish, and this will load an fxml stub, which you can see here, and it's just a file with some XML in it, but we're going to use Scene Builder to actually create a lot of our user interface. So I'm just going to close this file down, and then I'm going to make sure that I've got the package viewer open in Eclipse, and locate my file, the board fxml file, and then I'm going to right click on that, and it will give me an option, if I've installed Scene Builder in Eclipse correctly, to say open with Scene Builder. I'm just going to press that, and my file will open in Scene Builder, and this is what I get. I get a blank page because there's nothing in it at the moment, but at least now I know it opens, and I can see, if you look down the bottom under the hierarchy, you can see that I've got this border pane listed there. So I'm going to close this down now. We're going to come back to it in a second, but first I want to put some other things in place that we're going to make use of. With Java FX, you can have your user interface have a CSS file associated with it, and we can do that here with Scene Builder. But what I need to do is first import it into my project, and then I can reference it from within Scene Builder, and it will put in all the links for me so that it makes use of it when we actually run it. And on top of that, I'm going to need a couple of image files as well. So I've already prepared my image files, so I'll just go to the folder where I've got my image files. So what I'm going to need is I need this 0 hearts PNG file, I need the application.css file, and the frame.png file. I want all of those, so I'm just going to copy them, and then I'm going to paste them into my resources folder or package, so that they sit in there, because when I package up my application to deploy, that's where I'm expecting them to be. That's where I've worked out I want to have them. So that's where I've put them now, and now I can go back to my board fxml, open with Scene Builder. So we're going to put some core building blocks in place. At the top I'm going to put in like a table with 5 cells, 1 row and 5 cells going across it, and to do that I'm going to use a control called a grid pane. Is it a control or a container? A container called grid pane. So I'm going to highlight the grid pane and just drag it into the insert top section there, and by default it will give you 3 rows, 2 columns. And if I right click on the border, the grid pane in the hierarchy section, I can go there and go, and I can add a column, and I can keep doing that until I get my 5 columns, and then I can just select that row there, right click on it and delete it, select the next row, delete it, and now what I've got is my basic 5 cells in 1 row that's going to form the top part of my user interface. Next, what I want to do is I want to put a pane in the central section, so that's also a container. So I'm just going to grab that and put it in the insert center, and there's my pane. So they're the two major components, the top and the middle. We don't have anything else. We've got nothing to the left, nothing to the right, and nothing to the bottom. That's all we need. But what we do need to do now is we need to try and size this up and start to add in some of the meat into this. And to set the size, we're going to go to border pane, and we're going to go under layout, and where it says preferred width, we're going to make it 800, and then we're going to make our preferred height 600. So what we're ending up with is an 800 by 600 page. So now we're going to come back to our grid pane and see whether we can do a bit here. Under inspector, I want the alignment to be top left, which is fine, is what it is. And then style, I want to set the background color. So we're going to pick the FX background color. And we're going to set this to hash FF C34D. That's going to give us this burnt orange color that we're going for with our settings. So, the next thing we want to do is we probably want to put a little bit of padding in. So on the top we'll put some padding of 5, and the bottom we'll put some padding of 5 as well. Oh, I'm sorry, we want a horizontal gap of 5 and a vertical gap of 5 as well. Let's go. Okay. Then next we're going to put some labels in our grid pane. So I'm just going to drag a label into there, and basically I'm going to put labels in the four rightmost cells, and then come back to the leftmost cell in a minute. And so this first one we are going to call, if we go to properties, we will call that score. Sorry, the next one, this is where we'll actually display the score, so for now I'm going to put 4 zeros in it. The next one is level. Oh, I've got to put these out of kilter by 1. That should go there. That should go there. That should go there, and then we'll put another label in the fourth one, and that will be 1 for starting on the first level. And then the leftmost thing is going to have an image view, because it's going to be used to display an image, and we can say where the image is under the properties. Image pops up a file browser, and in resources we had that hearts 0, so I'm just going to open that up, and that's going to be our image, and it is too big, so I'm going to shrink that down a little. And then what we need to do is, for each one of these labels we've put in, we want to set it at system 25. for the moment I will go back to sorting out my text. If we come down to our pane now, the next thing I want to do is I want to put a pane within that pane that we've already got. So that's a container. And the reason being for that is that the second pane is actually going to be the playing area, whereas the first pane is the, let's call it, window decoration, for want of a better word. So I also want to add in a label which is going to act as my title bar. Okay. Now we'll position this later, but first of all let's set the text, and then there were a lot more fonts than I had thought there were. Okay, whoa. There we are, we'll go for that. And we will make it 72, I think. And should we make it bold? Let's have a look, see what we get with bold. Okay, we'll go with bold. And then I'm going to change the colour. So I'm going to make this, I'm going to go into the hash bit here, and we'll change it to 52 01. I think it's F5. Should be a blue. That's a blue. Okay, we'll go with that, and we'll position that somewhere there for the moment. Yeah, there we are. So it's in the center, near the top. Right, now if we switch to this inner pane that we had, we're going to position that. For the moment I'm just going to put it somewhere around about there. What I really want to do is resize it by going to the layout and changing it from the 200 to 400 by 400. Okay, and then we'll stick it somewhere near the bottom, in the center, like that. Okay, so that's our pane, and we want to actually set our background of our pane, because that will also help us find it. If we go to properties of the pane and style, we're going to do that FX background color again, and this time we're going to go with a hash and all ones, which gives us a sort of a grey black, but at least we can spot that now. But if we go to the pane above that, we can set the background color of that to be a hash FFC34D, which is the same as what we set on the top row. and we've got that. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save this and come out of Scene Builder, because I've forgotten to do some things and I've been skirting around it, but what we really need to do is sort it out. So close down your Scene Builder once you've saved it, then come over to your application class and open it up. It's just a text file, but what I want to make sure that we've got in here is we've got this section here. So dot game space curly brackets, setting the FX background color to quadruple C FA, and then setting the FX background image to be a URL, and you have to get this right, which is why we put the images where we did. Double quote, then full stop / resources / frame dot png close double quotes. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to say that wherever we use this dot game class, style class, use this image and use that background color. So make those changes and save it in the file, and then we'll right click back on our board, FXML, open in Scene Builder, and then we'll go to our high level, our first pane, and we'll go to where it says style class, and you should be able to drop down. Sorry, I've forgotten something very important. We actually need to say what style sheet we're using. So just below that is a style sheet thing. Press that button there, it gives you a file browser again. We go to our resources folder, we pick application CSS. So I didn't explain this earlier. When I say we open this file browser, what I'm actually looking at is the project may be in Eclipse, but all the files are actually stored in folders. So when you set up Eclipse, you say where you want your workspace to be, and then it creates folders for each project, and in there each package you create creates a folder under there. So there's my Breakout4J _A project, and then I've got my source folder there, and then I've got application, motion, objects, resources and view, and it's just will show me, if I go to view, let's take the filter off on the file. Oh, I can't take the filter off. If there wasn't a filter on there, you'd be able to see that the board FXML document was in there. So when I go to resources, I can pick the application CSS file, go open, and it will now make use of that as a style sheet. And then when I go into the style class, I've got the option to pick the game, and voila, now you can see the image sitting around the edge. And what we need to do is we just need to, oops, I've picked the wrong, go to the second pane and just drag it down a bit so it sits near the bottom of the pane, and that's our game playing area. The next thing we need to do is we need to put a couple of text labels into our top pane. So if I go to the controls, find label, it is label I want, yep, label, and put that in the second pane actually, and then I'm going to call this game over. And basically that's what's going to be displayed when we've finished the game, and I'll make that a system 40 size. And the color is going to be white so that it shows up. So I'm just going to hash FF that, get myself a white text, and then I'm going to drag that so it sits somewhere in the middle, round about there, somewhere near the top. And then the next thing we need to do is going to need to put in a text flow. So that's different from a label, and what we're doing here is a text flow allows us to put container even. That's what caught me out last time, I think. Yeah, text flow container, and we're going to sit this in at the same level as that label we've just put in. And we're going to say we want everything to be centered. And I'm going to go to the layout section. Oh, it's 200 by 200. I just want to make sure it's 200 by 200. And we're going to drag that and sit that just a bit lower, like that. It's only a small point, it's not really that important, but oh, sorry, it's under the properties, I believe. We'll just have our grid lines visible. It helps break up the various bits and pieces. Now I'm trying to see whether I've forgotten anything. There are so many properties that you can have that it's quite easy to forget something, and then when you come to do something else you realise you've forgotten it. So I'm just having a quick scan through to see whether there's anything that jumps out at me that I think, oh, actually we really wanted to have done that. And not to mention the fact that I'm still quite frustrated about the fact that I can't seem to centre the text in here. In the where the score is. What I really wanted was that to be in the centre like that, and that's how you do it. It's the H alignment. For those people who have quite a lot of experience in CSS, you'll probably find all of this a lot easier than I do, because you'll be probably more familiar with the way it does it. So there we are. That's essentially our FXML user interface. Everything else we're going to add dynamically. So the ball and the paddle and the brick wall, obviously, and even the text that's going to go into our text flow. We will put that in dynamically from within the application. So that's it. Save that on the way out, close it down, and we're ready to build our application and make use of this UI. A bit long and rambling because it's quite fiddly, but hopefully you've managed to follow along and you've been able to construct your UI. And if you're doing the rest of this application, you're ready to move on to the next bit. So that's how to build your Breakout4Java user interface using Eclipse and Scene Builder. This is Software Pulse, building Java desktop applications, and I'm John McNeil. Thanks for watching.